John, I'm just going to ask you now, as we do stare down the barrel of nurses on picket lines, whose side are you on, do you think? Are you on the side of the nurses? Are you on the side of the patients? Are you on the side of the government? Talk to me, John.
I'm absolutely on the side of the nurses and the public, and absolutely against the way the Tories are decimating the NHS. If you think about it, Patrick, for the entire life of this government, last 12 years is it now, they've said the NHS is safe in our hands, whilst at the same time gradually privatising bits of it. And I'm amazed that they don't just simply look at what they're spending. If you think what they spend on nurses that come in from agencies and compare that with the cost of putting this in, it's just a joke. I think they should go to the country and say, what does the country think? Let's have an election. Sort it out, because the nurses are absolutely right.
OK, all right, that's John's view there. I'll come back to you, John. Julie, your take, please. Julie from Bedfordshire.
Hi, Patrick. Yeah, I do disagree with John a little bit there, to be honest with you. I absolutely understand why the nurses are striking. I get it. But is this really the government's problem to resolve? There's enough money goes into the NHS, but is the NHS divvying it up correctly? Surely there is enough money in the pot of the NHS. Maybe they could reduce the wages of some of the managers, the higher paid staff, to make sure that nurses are paid better so they can afford, like everybody else, along with the cost of living. It's hitting all of us. I understand why they're striking, but I don't think it's the government's role to resolve this problem.
Yeah, John, I'll lob it back your way, because if I'm looking at some facts and figures here, according to those facts and figures, there's been a 39% funding uplift in the NHS compared to 2010. We're expected to be paying around £180.2 billion this coming year. And I can't help but wonder, John, when I look at some job titles like the one I've got before me right now, which is a director for lived experience. Someone did point out that surely is the only kind of experience that you can have, but there we go. 110 grand a year, apparently. Actually, should the nurses be angrier at their management than they are at the government?
Yeah, we've got a family member that earns a really good salary on the National Health, and I've no idea what she does. She would tell me it's the most important job in the world, but, I've no idea. There must be loads
It's not being funny, John. I mean, whilst I do appreciate you coming on national television and lobbing an anonymous family member under the bus, I mean, is that not a concern, John, that you don't know what they do?
I've got no idea what she does. None, only that she works for the NHS.
Yeah, but that's the problem, John, isn't it? If she's on a really good whack and you're coming out and supporting nurses, shouldn't the nurses be shouting at your anonymous family member, John?
Yeah, they should be. I perhaps shouldn't shout at her, and it's nothing personal at all, because the comment really is aimed at anybody in the NHS that is in management and doing these jobs that you wonder whether they're really necessary. I've no idea. It might be the most important job in the hospital, or, it might not. I don't know.
Grief. Julie, you're off the Christmas card list, John, I'll tell you that for sure. But, Julie, yeah, look, do you think that actually you're on the side of the fact that maybe this is a mismanagement of resources and taxpayers shouldn't be... Would you be willing to tolerate any pay rise for nurses? Apparently they were offered 4.3%.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there should be a pay rise. At the end of the day, they do a really hard job, and some of the situations that they deal with on a daily basis, I certainly wouldn't want to deal with. So yes, they are entitled to a pay increase, but 19% that they're asking for is way above what anybody should be entitled to at this particular time. But the offer that they were given, the 4.3 was it that they were given? Roughly, they should have taken that and then maybe look at next year asking for some more. But little by little, they should be looking at 19% is a huge leap. OK, John, any moral issues for you? I mean, the thing is, I've obviously got relatives, right? And some of those are elderly. And whilst you would never think it's a good time for anyone that you love to get ill, now is an especially bad time for them to get ill. And John, I can only imagine the... bile, really, that I would be spouting on this particular show if something happened to my grandmother and the care that she received was substandard as a result of a nurses' strike. I mean, are you worried about getting ill at the minute and other people getting ill? Not really. I do, however, think that when you listen to some of the nurses that I've heard today talking about only 2 nurses on duty where there should be a lot more, and therefore they can't do the basics because there's simply not enough staff there. And it's not just the nurses, is it? There's lots of sections of government-funded operations. Prison service is a good example,
where the salaries are not commensurate with the risks and the work that goes into it.
Well, John, what would you pay?
Don't want to do it.
Oh, all right, mate. Now, I know there's a sliding scale, John, to what a nurse can earn. Roughly, from what I can gather, the entry level can be around 27 grand, and that can work its way up to about 50 or 60. You obviously think they should be paid more. Slap a number on it for me, John.
Yeah, I think they should be paid more when you consider they need a degree which they funded themselves to get in the job in the first place, and therefore got a loan to pay off.
Okay.
You know, I think I think, you know, if I was to aim a number at it at the moment, I think it might be another 10%, maybe.
You'd give them around another 10%. All right. Julie, are you concerned that we are, frankly, going to become the non-health service? I mean, the Labour Party don't seem particularly keen on actually solving this problem either. They're just crucially not in power, are they?
No, absolutely. And I do wonder whether sometimes these are stealth methods to us actually removing the NHS as a free service altogether and moving towards a health service that we pay for. I wonder if it's more strategic than we give them credit for.
Yeah, fair enough. So, Julie, I take it you won't be tooting your horn as you pass the nurses' picket line today?
I won't be tooting my horn, I'm afraid, Patrick, no.
John, you'll give them a toot, will you?
I'll be out there with them holding the placard.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, you might see your relative on the way in there. You can ask her what she does.